My name's Judy Williams. I'm the newly retired chaplain from Rochelle Community Hospital. I retired February 10th, and my passion is ministry. I love ministry. It is my passion. It's where God wanted me and sent me. I believe that He prepared me along the way. I've been married to my husband, Wayne, for 50 years, and we have 2 sons. And when my sons, Dan and Paul, were small, grade school, I decided that I would go back to work. I went back to college for a bit and tried a couple things that just didn't really feel like a fit. I knew that there was an opening at Rochelle Hospital and applied for a job in the emergency room as an admitting clerk. I did that for a few years, and because we would often be shorthanded, I would be back helping the nurse often. I realized along the way that I was able to give comfort, and I was very glad about that, because something I had been passionate about before was that I was involved with Ogle County Hospice. So I had already had a deep desire to serve God in a way of helping others. I shortly knew that my gift from God was in grief ministry. And as I went back to school and became an EMT in the emergency room. And I did that for many years, and I loved it. But that job was dissolved into an RN position. And when that happened, I felt a hole in my life, knew there was something else. I really felt God pushing me, and a door opened that I could go back into ministry. And when one of my friends, a pastor, he had told me about this position, this class that was called Clinical Pastoral Education. I went and interviewed for a position in that class, and he asked me if I was working on my doctorate, and I said no. Do you have your bachelor's? And I said no. I said, but you won't find anyone who loves God more than me. And he said, I have to let you in. So a class of about 5 or 6. So you take 4 units of clinical pastoral education at Rockford Memorial. Well, along the way, doing hospice and doing, I was in a crisis intervention stress management debriefing team that was taking place here in Rochelle. And I loved giving comfort for God. And I felt that there's so many people who really need the comfort from God, just knowing. And I was able to reach out to them and touch them, hold their hand, put my arm around their shoulder, and be able to just give them that comfort that can only come from God. And through me, then God used that. And so I went back to school in that clinical pastoral education department and got certified there, and decided that when the minister left, the chaplain left Rochelle Hospital, I applied for that opening. And it was like God gave me this huge gift. And I've been the chaplain there for now something like 20 years. I'm not exactly sure, 20, 25 years. But I've been at the Rochelle Hospital for 39 years. And I love reaching out for God. You know, when people are in crisis, they need someone. They need a shoulder. They need a hand to hold. They don't really care. They really want a person who's going to love on them for God. And for most part, a lot of times family will come and not realize and not have anyone there with them. And I became the mom, the grandma, the aunt, the wife, the whomever for a little bit, especially until their family comes. And being able to just share God's love with them and not saying anything. Sometimes I pray, sometimes I don't, because it's whatever they might need at the time. And reaching out to others has just been something I've been extremely passionate about. It's one of the things that fills me up and gives me joy. And I know that's from God, and I love it. There's so many people in our community who are not churched. And I do a lot of funerals for those people, not just people who've been at the hospital, but people that know me, know I'm a minister, and you know, they've come disconnected from their church for whatever reason, or they're in a retirement home or whatever, or they just had never really started getting into church, but they want that connection. And being able to give them that is such a blessing. Having people come into my office and want me to share about Jesus is one of the things that just fills my cup. And if I can do that for anyone, that's what I want to do. And I want to love on them for Jesus. And I think that being able to grow up in a community, a small community like Rochelle, is really a blessing in that I know most people by some connection. I maybe went to school with their daughter, or I am, my grandchildren are in a play group together, or my husband worked with them, or whatever. So, you know, our connections are there. It's finding them and then getting that connection and feeling like you know someone. And I really appreciate that. And I think that that's God's way of giving us those, that ability to step into someone's life. I think one of the things people have to realize when they're in the ministry, that when someone's going through a tragedy or some terrible thing, sometimes just coming to a hospital is scary. And coming to a hospital where they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if people are going to give them shots or do things to them, so they're apprehensive. And so just being a calming force sometimes is all they need, because some of them are from not here. Some of them are truck drivers or wherever, and they're all alone. I just want to be that Jesus to them right then. And I think in showing God's love, it's opened many, many doors. I get many calls, even at home. Judy, can you come and pray? Judy, would you just keep him in your thoughts and prayers? I know I have held the hand of people whose families have been passing, and I love that. I love that connection, that closeness. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to do anything. I just have to be present. And being present with someone who's going through a terrible thing is often the best comfort you can give them for God. I know that many times people think they have things under control and they're big and they're tough, and they're not. I've had to call people on the phone to come because their loved one was in the emergency room with something terribly happening to them. And those days are hard, but God gives me grace and mercy to be able to go home, love on my own family, and get through it. I talk to God about it, and He usually gives me exactly what I need in being able to sleep or do whatever I need to do. I know what it feels like to have someone tell you you have cancer. I think there's many times that we are able to comfort others when we've been through certain things on our own. Our own situations have brought us to a place of compassion. And I've been brought to the place of compassion many times. And being able to step back and see the fear in their eyes, the unknowing in their eyes, and maybe explain a little or just tell them what's happening. And I'm here. I will stand for you. I will be here for you. I'm not going to leave you. And I will try to give them comfort in those ways. I feel so passionate about serving in those ways of just feeling that I can maybe take away some anxiety, give them the presence of Jesus in me. I'm not Jesus, but Jesus lives in me. And sharing that with other people is something that other people need. I know that as of last month, I'm retired, but I'll never stop serving God in my community and wherever else God opens a door for it. And I want to do that for all the people in my little town of Creston, my little town of Rochelle. I love the community, but I love people, and I love people for Jesus.